Okay, welcome back, guys. Step 2, part 4. This will be the last section. So, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity, or could offer us sanity. And for me, in my journey personally, it was an offer of sanity. I was insane from way young already. There was no normality that I slowly drifted away from. There was high levels of dysfunction in my childhood because of the abuse and so for me it was definitely an offer of sanity. But let's stick to the text at hand. Could restore us to sanity. Now, if there's a restoration to sanity, there's the implication of insanity. So what does that mean? Okay, and the most popular definition, I think by far, that you'll hear in just about every rehab and all the rooms and every time anybody's talking about step 2, insanity often defined as doing the same thing over and over again, each time expecting a different result. Now, that kind of makes sense, and we think we understand it. But in my experience working with men and women for many years with addictions, I've found that people don't really understand. They think they do, and because they think they do, they gloss, or they just surface fly over it. They don't pause and actually reflect and look at what does that insanity translate into in your behavior, in your thinking, in your world, in your life, in your home life, in your family life. Something is going on there. Okay? And it's probably been going on for a while. And it's definitely something that you need to look at. So we're gonna focus a lot on the AA Big Book narrative or take on insanity. It's what the old timers say. I like it a lot, and I think it's very real and very true. The old timers of AA suggested that there is a difference between addicted, affected behavior and insanity. And often the one is confused with the other, or the one is mistaken for the other, that they're both the same thing. And I don't think they are both the same thing. There is definitely a lot of insanity in the behavior, in the what they call here as addicted, affected behavior. The things we do, the way we compromise ourselves, the risks we take, the dangerous situations we put ourselves in, the damage that we do to ourselves and to others, particularly family members. I mean, that's all insane. And it has to be examined in detail. Your workbooks, your Stepwork guides are gonna be a good vehicle for you to unpack that insanity in detail. You can't leave anything out. You mustn't leave anything out. Everything that you can remember, that you can recall about your thinking, about your behavior, about your consequences, about your intent, about the damage. Okay? You've got to talk about it. You've got to expose it. You've got to see it clearly for what it is. You're not going to take responsibility for anything that's not clear to you. If it's not clear to you, it's easy to avoid. It's easy to avoid the feelings, the shame, the guilt around that. So the insanity, or the addicted, affected behavior, that insanity is more obvious. We can, if we've done step 1, we've got a pretty good idea of what that looks like. I see there's a lag in my picture. I hope that's not going to affect this too much. Anyway, so what's less obvious? What insanity is less obvious? And again, the old timers say there will be times where we do not have an effective mental defense against our addictions. That sounds serious, it sounds scary. There will be times where we do not have an effective mental defense against our addictions. What does that mean? It means that this thing is extremely cunning, baffling, powerful. That's right out of the big book terminology. And it's fantastic terminology. This thing, the old timers used to call it slick. Slick. He's cunning beyond anything you can imagine. Just when you think you got it sussed out, utterly and completely baffling and powerful, full of power, full of unimaginable power. So what are we doing or what are we not doing that this is a real narrative for us? There will be times where we do not have an effective mental defense against our addictions. Well, I think one of the biggest ways we can make that true is by doing superficial step work. By not being specific about anything, by being intellectual about everything, by being vague and generalistic about everything. I think that's one way we can set this up. We can make this a reality. By not personalizing anything. By being arrogant. By being a snob. A lot of alcoholics, many alcoholics, more alcoholics than addicts. Snobs, eh? They think they better, superior. That these narratives don't apply. I've seen snobbery kill many alcoholics. There's a saying, I'm not sure it's in the big book, but there's none so arrogant as the alcoholic lying in a gutter, still looking down his nose at the world. So that's definitely going to have this as a reality. There will be times we do not have an effective mental defense against our addictions. I think another way that we can create that is doing this under coercion. By pleasing people. I'll get everybody off my back. I'll go to AA. I'll go to treatment. And I'll do rehab. Bill W., one of the founders of AA, his definition of insanity, and I'm paraphrasing, when everything's going right, my life is working, I've managed to stop drinking, I've managed to change my behavior. Got my family back. My family's trusting me. I've got trust back. I've got a job back. I've got my life back. Everything is going well. And in that space, Slick makes an appearance and says, "You're okay now. Surely you can drink now. Surely you can go back to social drinking. Surely you won't have the same outcome as last time. It's been 6 months, it's been a year, it's been 2 years." That's what Bill W. said the insanity was for him. And I can relate. I'm 22 odd years in this journey. I haven't craved in more than 10 years. I don't crave. I'm not preoccupied with my addiction or with drinking or using drugs or anything. I'm living the promises, the AA promises. I've got a good life. Okay? Got very, very few worries in my life. I'm absent of any significant governing obsessions. Okay? For 10 years, more, 15 years. And one day, I was on leave. I've not seen Slick or heard from Slick, or who I like to call the gorilla. Not seen a gorilla in all that time. And maybe quietly believing that I would never see the gorilla again. I was on leave in Cape Town. And on this particular day, it was the hottest recorded day in Cape Town, I think, on record. It was like close to the 40s. And the night before, my car had been broken into and my prescription sunglasses had been stolen. And I was feeling pretty fed up and irritable and annoyed and hot and thirsty and lonely. And I was walking down Long Street in Cape Town. And I walked into this life-size cardboard cutout of a glass of Carling Black Label beer. And it was a beautiful picture, you know, with nice head of foam and the dew down the side of the glass. Life size. And I felt myself do this. And for that split moment, I thought, oh, I really, really would enjoy a beer now. And my next thought was, I'm in Cape Town, man, no one will ever know. Split second. Not drawn out, nothing wrong, it was like that. And I thought, oh, there you are. Slick. Haven't seen you for a long time. You sneaky bastard. That's the insanity Bill W. was talking about. I'm an addiction specialist, an addiction counsellor, working in a top rehab in South Africa. Okay? Good, significant clean time under my belt. Got a great life. One beer. I don't even want to think where that would have gone or what could have happened. You know, there's a part of me saying you probably would have survived that. You'd be okay. Your recovery was strong enough. But I don't even trust that. I know what I come out of. I know how bad it was there. No chance, man. I'm going to attempt that, risk that, try that. Here's the insanity. What's your version of this? How many times have you been in this space? What mistakes have you repeated again and again, trying to stop or control or moderate your using? Here's the insanity. What excuses have you made? What rationalizations and justifications and yet every attempt you've made to control or to moderate or to limit your drinking or to negate the consequences or the damage has ended up in utter failure, utter disaster. There's your insanity. So this is what there will be times where we do not have an effective mental defense against our addictions. Because no matter how clean you are, no matter how long you've been clean, no matter how bulletproof you think you are, no matter how potent your recovery you think it is, all it takes is the right crisis at the right time to come and challenge you right there in that mental defense. And many tumble here because they've not prepared adequately for this eventuality. By not building in a formidable relapse awareness, relapse awareness prevention program into their recovery. By doing all this work and doing all these workbooks and answering all these questions and being very specific about everything and personalizing everything, they're in a false sense of security. They believe that maybe being in treatment has qualified them to be in recovery. They believe that putting the drink or drugs down and attending AA and NA meetings equals recovery. Not necessarily. You've got to prepare for this eventuality. I was prepared for this eventuality in my life. That's why it didn't last longer than a few seconds. I immediately saw it for what it was. It did not wobble me. I did not spend days trying to flip and recenter or reground myself. It was over as quickly as it happened. Because I was prepared for that eventuality. Because of the work I do and because of the personal work I've done. So turn around and have a look at the wake of your life. You know what a wake is? You know when a boat sails through the ocean or through the sea or whatever, it leaves a wake that's unique to that boat. When you turn around and you look at the wake of your life, what do you see? You need to look into that wake and you need to look and identify and verbalize and pen the insanity. That's your life. Get specific. Identify it. Get specific. Write it down. If you don't, it stays there. You've not got any insight or any self-awareness into the repetitive patterns of behavior in your life that are going to prepare you for that eventuality when you're going to really, really need a mental defense against your addiction. Another great question. How does what you believe impact on your insanity? In parts 2 and 3, we looked at this word belief, that it's a big word. Is your current belief system a major contributor to the insanity you experience in your life? Can you get honest about that? Can you get specific about it? Talk about it. Share it to death. Pen it. And that brings us to the end of part 4. And the end of the step 2 lecture. We came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. I hope this lecture has helped. I hope it's made it a bit clearer for you. Please feel free to comment in the comments below. Please feel free to email me your thoughts, how you've personalized it. I love to see how people hear these lectures. My email is johnstewart@ehab.care. So send me an email if you want. Yeah, let's leave it there. I think that's more than enough for you guys to think about, to chew on. Colin is going to take you through step 3. And I will see you guys again in step 4 and step 5. Until then, God bless. I want to say thank you to Bethesda Retreat, which is Sober Living with a Difference, here in Plettenberg Bay, where I live. I actually work there, but I do a lot of my lectures there. So thank you, Bethesda, for the time, space, internet, love, encouragement. If you're looking for sober living, go check out the website, see if it's a good fit for you. Give us a call. I want to thank Marlene from Kubenka Brands. She helps me with my graphic design. If you want to engage with me more, if you want to get into a therapeutic process with me, come and find me at ehab.care. I'm one of the recovery coaches there. There's a good few of us there. I can recommend any one of them. Come check it out. There's some courses on there, which these videos are all a part of. And on that note, thank you for spending this time with me. Bit of a long session, but I'm sure it's helped. Let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Very important. Subscribe to our channel so that you can stay in touch with all the new content that's going to be going up on a regular basis. Take care. And my mouse has stopped working.